Steven, on the eve of the baseball season starting,
Mm-hmm.
you think Shohei Ohtani, with all the bullshit that's going on right now, sits in his beautiful mansion and before he goes to sleep tonight thinks to himself, well, it could be worse. I could be P. Diddy.
No, I don't think he thinks that.
You don't think so?
Actually, I think we all go to bed thinking that way, right?
Well, if you're
I mean, when life's going the way it's going and maybe it's not in your favor, you could always go to bed and think, well, I'm not Puff Daddy.
that is true. Or, if you're God, who was the girl in the early 2000s that don't stop, dooba doo, deeba dooba dooba doo, tick tock, dooba doo, dooba dooba doo doo. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that's Kesha.
Yeah. You think Kesha's the complete opposite because she wakes up feeling like P. Diddy, which I don't know what the hell that means these days.
I don't want to know what that means, man. All the stuff that's come out as of late is kind of, I'd say, combining that with everything with the Quiet on Set documentary, which I don't know if you watched about the Nickelodeon stuff.
I'm trying to avoid that one.
Yeah, it makes me feel like everything that we know is a lie. Like everything that we know from our childhood is a lie. Look, dude, I'm like, oh my God, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, he's a mogul. You know what I mean? And like, he was one of those guys. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And now 50 Cent's actually going at Jay-Z in this situation. He keeps on posting photos of Jay-Z on Instagram. It's really weird. It's almost as if he's accusing him of something as well. It's just a weird time. It's depressing. But where I'm trying to go with this is, hey, at least we're not P. Diddy. Nor are we at least Ridley Scott, where we have to wait outside our mansion for the feds to finish their investigation. Did you see that?
Ridley Scott, too?
Yeah, no, not Ridley Scott. They didn't catch him, but I guess he was like kind of neighbors with Diddy. And so as the feds were concluding their investigation, he, I guess, had to wait outside of the caution tape just to get into his house. Ridley Scott.
Poor Ridley Scott. He's
right?
trying to make a good sequel to Gladiator.
Right? I watched Alien the other day, and shit's scary, man.
Yeah. Well, this P. Diddy stuff is scary, apparently.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cambodia. You didn't make my day.
Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, I got a few jokes. I mean, we should have seen this coming, when back in the day when he was in Bad Boy Records and just kept saying, take that, take that. He was like, ugh, it's a bad sign. Anyway, moving on. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. Steven, got a lot to get to today, but how was spring training?
Spring training was awesome. Went to the Giants game on the Friday, the A's game on the Saturday. Giants game, it was literally like as soon as I touched down really in Arizona, we went straight there. So this was going to a bachelor party. First time that I had met a couple of these guys. It was the first time I'd seen them in quite a while. So really we got the lawn seats and, we were like half paying attention to the game. And then a few minutes later, it's like 9-0 Cubs. And then
was this Giants on last Friday?
Yeah.
So
the Giants just kept on. The Giants kept on crawling back, and it was like 12-12 or 12-11, and I think at that point we left.
Well, I mean, Logan Webb wasn't looking too hot that day.
No, he wasn't. He hasn't been looking good at spring training. That's fine. It's just spring training. I'm not going to take away too much from it. But yeah, then went to the A's game on Saturday, which was fun.
Nice.
I found the only spring training heckler in the stands that night, or that day rather, and he was heckling his own team. That's the only problem. He was an A's fan, but he would only talk trash to the A's players while simultaneously cheering for the A's players. It was really bizarre. It was really bizarre. Like he didn't say anything about the Angels. It was only about the A's. And I think my favorite, he was yelling things just all game. It wasn't like anything obscene, It wasn't like wasn't anything like super disrespectful. It's just like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like he seemed to be alone. and just having himself a grand old time over there in Mesa at Ho-Ho-Cam. But he, my favorite one, it was, I think, Logan Davidson who was up to bat. I think that was his name. And
Jesus, who are these people?
he goes, he he goes, I knew a guy named Logan once. I didn't like him.
All right.
Like, what? It was like the worst trash talk that I've ever heard. It was bizarre, man. But
Well, what's going to be bizarre tomorrow is A's, opening day, and I'm heading over to the Coliseum. Will I be going to the game? No, I will be participating in the parking lot for the boycott. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow.
there's another one, huh?
Yeah, it's the one where they're trying to tell people not to go to the game, which
Right.
I agree with. The one last year, I thought it was very well done, where everybody, wanted to go to the game. I thought that was fun, but I didn't feel comfortable, and I'm still on the fence. I don't know how I feel about going to an A's game this year, but I'll be at the Coliseum tomorrow, and yeah, I will. I'll be in the parking lot, not
Which
attending the
one?
game though.
Which one? North or south?
Whenever I meet up with Carl Buszczyk, and maybe Elena will be out there, or our friend Sonny Martinez. But yeah, I'll be around.
Oh, right on. You guys gonna get unleashed? A's unleashed?
Oh,
Huh?
you know Carl Buszczyk well. Speaking of
He'll tell you all about the minor league prospects that are coming up.
no, he definitely knows his A's. Speaking of unhinged, look at Tacky. He said in the KNBR chat today that he wasn't going to come to this thing, but look, he's here. And I don't understand what he says. I don't understand what this means right here. Derek thinks he's Lauryn Hill. Like, do-wop that thing, Lauryn Hill?
I think so.
Some guys you know about. I could sing like Lauryn Hill, but Tacky, explain yourself. Yeah, Tacky says he's going to come to the A's game tomorrow and tell me to eat shit in person. I dare you. I dare you.
Tacky just makes
Oh,
you.
because I'm being late. Is Lauryn Hill known for being late?
Oh, she is. Yes. Yes. Yeah, she's late to like every.
She just keeps people waiting. Okay.
She's late to every concert. Yeah, it's like a known thing.
Ah.
I first experienced that never live, but it was with the live stream of Tyler the Creator's Festival, and I think it was called Camp Flognaw, and she was headlining at night, and there was this DJ who was just shredding it for a solid 40 to 45 minutes before Lauryn Hill made an appearance. Yeah, you had to wait a little bit.
So I guess when she sings "Ready or Not," she's not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Ready or not, here she comes. You're not going to find her. She's going to come out to the stage slowly. Okay. Anyway, here we go.
Steven, the Warriors just got done with a doubleheader. Or sorry, not a doubleheader, a back-to-back in Florida. And they are hanging on so closely to the 10th seed in the Western Conference play-in. And they got the win last night. Good for them. But let's be real. They were playing the Heat with a lot of guys out. Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, all the white guys.
And they blew them out.
Okay, but yeah, so they got the win. Tonight was going to be the bigger thing.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I'm like, but I'm like, I wasn't impressed. Okay, so they beat the Heat without a lot of good players.
Right.
And then tonight, they are playing the Orlando Magic. And this seemed like a game that they were going to lose. It was just kind of set up that way. If you look at it, the Warriors were playing the night before. The Magic were playing last on Saturday. Plenty of rest. And, Magic are good. Magic are good this year. But Draymond Green ejected 3 minutes into the game. How quickly was it?
Yeah, about 3 minutes.
Okay. And everyone's, been watching. Warriors got the win. They pulled it out, which is great. They're still hanging on to that 10 seed. The Rockets are coming for the Warriors, so they got to pull away. And they're playing the Rockets next week on April 2nd. So not on April 2nd, April 4th, I believe. But yeah, they're in dire straits right now, where they need to find a way to keep going and not give up the 10th seed. Anyway, so they win the game tonight. Steph Curry played great in the fourth quarter. or just in the last closing seconds, get the three in the night and everything. But Draymond Green gets ejected, and everybody's seen, Draymond's a new man. You've seen that T-Mobile commercial now, Steven, where he's doing a podcast in the middle of it for what, like it's a weird one. You've seen it now?
I actually haven't.
Okay, it's weird. He's at a T-Mobile shop, and he's like, you learn like he's doing a phone thing. He's got his microphones. Like, so what happens when everybody tells you that you got to grow? Well, you got to grow. I don't think it's really resonated with Draymond. But then again, I don't know if this is really a growing moment. I think he was just arguing with a ref, and the ref just had enough of it. So, what was the explanation? I saw you were tweeting about this, Steven. What
Yeah.
did the referee say the reason was for ejecting Draymond Green?
You know what? Let me open the pool report, and I'll just put the screen up here just so everyone can read it instead of just listening to the words. Yeah, this is great. So the question: why did Green receive that second technical foul? And the answer: after a prolonged diatribe, Green directed egregious, profane language towards a game official. The ejection came early in the game, less than 4 minutes in. Was the timing of the second technical foul considered at all before it was handed out? No. His actions met the standard for a technical foul, which was his second technical foul, which results in an automatic ejection. Did the player's history have any impact on the decision to hand him a technical foul and eject him? Absolutely not. Well, that third answer is a lie because it has everything to do with his history.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
but also if you lip read, and Ernie too
right.
has it in the chat here. Um, we all know that there's a short leash with players now when they say profane language or they argue with the referee. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, and I think Draymond's gotten a lot of leeway
Yeah.
lately. So
Yeah.
I was actually not surprised that he got ejected.
Mm.
I just thought, what does it mean when he says he grows? It means he's not going to slap the shit out of Nurkic anymore or stomp on Sabonis' chest. Is it just the violent acts or is it this stuff too? It's
Well,
just
I mean, he sort of grabbed Patty Mills' neck yesterday too
I
against the
saw
Heat.
that too. Yep, and he got away with that. So listen, I think Draymond's a great player, but I got to be honest. I have thought this for a while, and I just have kind of kept it to myself. I thought the whole therapy thing was kind of just not real and lame, and I don't think. I mean, it's cool to go on your podcast and say you've changed and everything, but you know, does he need to change for us even? I don't know. And I saw Steve in the post game saying like, yeah, it was unfortunate, and he should have been ejected, and that is the case. And I think this is just going to happen. It's frustrating. I mean, how many times have we watched a game where Draymond is just leaves the game immediately? It's just shitty. It puts Steph in a terrible position, and we saw Steph be the most emotional I've ever seen him when it came to Draymond being ejected, where
Yep.
he looked physically fatigued, he looked mentally fatigued, and pretty sure he was crying.
Yeah.
Where to the
Yeah.
like not like he was sad for Draymond, he was like, I can't believe what this bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they got the win tonight, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't think this team's doing anything. I think they get the 10th seed, cool, and maybe they lose to the Lakers in the play-in, which would suck. But I don't see them making any noise. I don't see them doing anything. I think that the reality is that this team is just very old, and they need to make some big changes in the offseason, whether they get the 10th seed or they don't. It really doesn't matter to me at this point. Would I love to see them play in a one-game play-in against LeBron James? Sure, it's entertaining as hell. But in
Mm.
the grand scheme of things, I don't really care. I'm kind of disinterested with the Warriors, to be completely honest.
Well, that's good for the podcast. We're going forward here.
Well, I'm just being honest.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, but play
Thank
the game, Derek. Play the game. But yeah, Curry was choked up. And the same in the same vein as towards the end of that game where Andrew Wiggins was just fantastic. Everything he was doing was fantastic, just on both ends of the floor. I think how many points did he have in the fourth quarter? I think he had like 12 or 14 or something like that. He was just lethal, and he finished with the team high 23 points. And it kind of reminded me of the Celtics series in both ways, in that Wiggins had maybe his best game of the season, and really that's the type of Wiggins we saw with that Celtics 2022 finals, and it's what we always go back to. And in the same vein with Steph Curry, like I haven't seen him express more emotion than in game 4 against the Celtics. At least in terms of when he did something good. I've seen him get pissed off before. We've seen him kick a chair, and then remember that they went on I think they went on like a 7-game win streak or something after that when he kicked a chair. I think it was like in January of 2021 or something like that. I could be wrong there. I can't remember, but we've seen him kick a chair before. But after he makes a shot and he beats that team like he did with the Magic and really put the dagger in that game, and we saw him kick the chair afterwards, a lot of that is because of Draymond. It's just he knows that he had to carry that team, especially without Kuminga on the floor too. Kuminga obviously was hurt, so he didn't play. It's just Curry has had to make up for Draymond's actions time and time again, and that might have been the motivator that Steph needed for tonight to hit that final shot. But it's the same old story with him, man. And it's never going to end until his contract is up with the Dubs. Like, again, this is who he is. He's going to argue with officials no matter what. Like, that's what happens. Good God, dude. And I agree with you that there's really not much to make of this season. They are kind of putting lipstick on a pig with these wins here. Because with 10 games remaining, even if they do make that 10th play-in spot, I know the Heat did it last year, but it's damn near impossible to get back to the finals if you're starting in the 10th seed. So I don't really know what there is to look forward to except for games like that. I just want to see Curry be happy, man. That's all I want to see. You don't want to see him crying on the court or almost on the verge of tears on the court.
Yeah, well, this is just happening right now. Anthony Slater caught up with Steph Curry after the game, and this is his quote on Draymond Green's getting ejected.
What did you think of the Draymond injection?
All I say is we need him. He knows that. We all know that. So whatever it takes to keep him on the floor, he'll be available. That's what's got to happen, especially at this point in the year. So a tough way to start the game, but I am extremely proud of every single person that stepped foot on the floor tonight and responded the way that they did. Because back to back, the team as physical as they are, we got contributions from everybody, and it was a beautiful team effort to respond the way that we did and get this win. Because we went and took it. That's a big sign for us, a sign of growth to be able to respond that way.
The camera showed you pretty frustrated when he did get ejected. Are you just thinking at that time what you just said, essentially?
Yeah, we know how important the season is. This part of the season is, and our ability to get into a rhythm and secure a playing opportunity and give ourselves a shot. You don't want to have self-inflicted wounds when it comes to that. And we all care. We all are passionate about the game and our chances to have something to play for down the stretch. So you give everything you got to this game, and that's the emotion.
So I think Steph was, doing his best not to be critical of Draymond there, and we never really heard him be very critical of Draymond. But I think this is the first time where he's like, "Dude, we got 11 games left in the season, or whatever it is. You can't be pulling this shit. And you say you're growing and everything. At least just stay in the game. Like okay, we all don't get calls, or there's calls that we don't like." But at least just stay in the game so we can at least just try to make a run here and get the 10 seed and do something.
Yeah. Yeah. When you are in, I'm not going to say it's a must-win game, but they are in a situation right now where they need to go on a win streak, and they need to do it now. They need to do it fast. If they want to, like Steph said, if they want to make a run at the postseason, they need to do that now. And for Draymond just to react the way that he did, there have been times where we've seen signs of maturity from Draymond and actually looking like he had changed at times, but it's just every time with him, it's like I don't know, 3 steps forward and then just a couple of more steps back.
Like
Luckily,
Paul
the Warriors.
Abdul.
Exactly. Sure. Luckily,
You know
the
the song.
Warriors. Luckily, by Paul Abdul.
I take 2 steps forward, I take 2 steps back.
Well, it's not the song, is it? Is it more 2 steps or is it more 2 steps for Draymond or 3 steps and then 2 steps back?
I don't know, dude.
You don't know?
I was just trying to make a joke.
Yeah.
Please.
But seriously, would it be 2 steps? Would it be more fitting for the song? Should I say 2 steps forward and 2 steps back?
I guess.
Would it be that? Has he made any steps forward at all? Because I'm implying that he's at least made 1 step forward.
Ah.
I said 3
then-
steps forward and 2 steps back. You're saying 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. So he's back where he started.
Yes.
You think so?
I think you're overanalyzing just a quick little reference I had.
Yeah, maybe. But it's I think of even before these 2 wins, I just think of what Tim Legler was saying on ESPN, and I think he was just totally right when he said that it's not like the Warriors dynasty is over, but it's the Steph Curry era. We're still in it, and he doesn't think that there can be another championship run with this team under Steph Curry, because what are they supposed to do? They just can hope to retool with Steph, and maybe get a crack at the postseason and kind of try to make a underdog sort of run. But you can't just blow the whole thing up. You can't just fire the head coach. You can't just, trade Draymond, let go of Clay, and you can't do any of these, like, you can't do any serious construction. You can't do any of that because, like, this is who you have right now, and this is a product of drafting poorly, really, before James Wiseman, and then of course James Wiseman, I think, is kind of like at the apex of all of that. But yeah, man, I just think that they're in a really tough place right now, and I think the more we raise our expectations, then the more you're probably going to say some outlandish things that aren't going to help the team. Because I've seen way too much, especially after that Minnesota loss. I've seen way too much of we got to get a new coach. I've seen way too much of that sort of stuff with Steve Kerr. At the end of the day, this roster is constructed is not a championship roster. I don't know what to think next year. Even with Kuminga as like the number 2 scoring option, you still need another player who can at least create his own shot. Like Kuminga and Trace Jackson Davis have been fantastic playing. Kuminga's created shots for himself one-on-one, but as far as like playing within the system and all that, like, you need someone else who can just create for others, like, and also just a guy who can get buckets. And I don't know how they're going to get that guy.
Yeah, I don't know what they do in the offseason. I mean, I don't know if it's as simple as letting Clay go or trading Wiggins. I think there's a lot of stuff they got to do.
Yeah.
And I agree with old Tim Leggy. I think that
Legs.
Leggy blonde. I think that I don't see it anymore, and that's okay, because I know I keep saying this. We should enjoy the past. Like, that's pretty much what every, like, you watch any sports documentary of a championship dynasty, the Bulls and the Patriots, recent ones, they all knew when things come to an end. And I think a lot of the Warriors players are in denial. I think the franchise is kind of in denial, where this iteration of the Warriors winning championships is over. That's what I feel. And I think that's okay, because we've seen great moments. But yeah, I mean, Draymond's gonna keep doing this shit. Like, we'll have Steve Kerr on tomorrow, and I'm sure he's just gonna say, like, yeah, he deserved it. But nothing ever changes. Nothing
Yeah.
really ever changes. And Klay Thompson, people want him to start again. I wouldn't. I think he's great
Yeah.
coming off the bench. So I don't
Yeah.
really know. And like I said, I don't really care for the rest of the season. I want them to go to the play. It would be entertaining. But as far, like I said, as far as like the future of this team, it means nothing, to be completely honest.
Yep. Sorry, my brother's texting me at the same time, and these texts are popping up. I'm about to block this guy. He's asking me what my Easter Sunday plans are while simultaneously
We got a
giving
show, Steven. Tell Ian he can figure his Easter brunch out later.
Oh, he's texting the show. He's texting. Yeah. Join the YouTube chatty, and don't be texting me personally. Create your own YouTube thread and do the lurking on social media that you always do. Create some account that no one's gonna look at and just use it to comment. Everyone does that. Jeez. Yeah, I think it's because I'm a big fan of The Office. There's a line from Andy Bernard at the very end. It says, I wish you knew that you were in the good old days before you actually left them.
Mhm.
And like I kind of knew, I think by 2022, that championship run, I'm like, yeah, this could be the last we see of the Warriors winning a championship. This one is just as improbable as I could imagine. That one in 2022. I thought they were done that season. I think it was after this loss to the Lakers, where it was a depleted Lakers roster. And I was like, yeah, there's no way this team is going to do anything. And then
I was there. I was at crypto, as they called it back then. I think they still call it crypto. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a certain point where I didn't think they were winning the championship that year. I mean, we were all waiting for the Warriors to play the Suns in the Western Conference Finals, and that wasn't a gimme
Right.
them making the finals. And then it happened. And it's funny now, like Draymond will go on his podcast and be like, "Yeah, we shouldn't have won that season." I kind of feel the same way. I kind of feel like it was like a lifetime achievement award, or like Sean Connery winning Best Supporting Actor for Untouchables. Is it his best work? No, but they felt bad and gave it to him. So that's kind of how I feel like Warriors. They were good that season, but that was like the end, in my opinion.
You don't think Sean Connery was good in the Untouchables?
You're mucking with a real G here. That's my favorite line.
My favorite line from that is, he pulls your knife, you pull out a gun. He puts one of yours in the hospital, you put one of his in the morgue. That's how you catch Capone.
And Robert De Niro, hey, baseball, hey.
Hey, I got this baseball bat. Let me smash your head in with it because I disagreed with something you're saying. I'm Al Capone.
That's a good segue for baseball. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Warriors, but I think all of us are like, this season,
Yeah. I think if any of them are like, I don't know, if anyone's truly realistic, they know that nothing can last forever. It's just such a slow burn. It's a slow, almost painful burn, because once I'm out, they keep pulling me back in.
Yeah.
But then in my mind, I'm like, wait, no, I'm not in. I'm not in. I'm out. Wait a second. Now they're pulling me back in.
Yeah.
2 wins in Florida, pulling me back in.
Yeah, but I think also, I think Steph's realistic, and I think Steve's realistic. Well, Steph, because he has the contract already, but Steve didn't sign like a 5-year contract. He signed a 2-year deal to go along with Steph.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think everybody sees like, oh boy, let's see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be tough these next 2 years, but I'm also like, I'm not looking forward to a time without Steph Curry. I don't even want to think after Steph Curry, but it's interesting, man. Just these new eras of different teams, and it's very rare that one lasts as long as it has, which, this one's lasted since what? I mean, you could say that 2012 draft, even 2011, I guess, with Klay Thompson coming aboard, but really 2012 is when they had Draymond Green, and that's when they really started to build something. And God, it's lasted for 12 years, but God, it's just it can be painful, man. It could be painful, and it's different than, say, football. Like we keep talking about Patriots dynasty because of that documentary that just came out, which turned into a Belichick hit piece.
We'll get to that a little later too.
Like there's no position in basketball that's like the quarterback, where you can legitimately dictate the outcome of a game and damn near do it by yourself. Like, that can't happen. Like Steph, he can go out and put up, 35 points, 30 to 35 points a night, but you still need others around you to do something, because we've seen them lose plenty of times when he has that sort of game. And it's hard to imagine even after that win, like it's hard to imagine they'll do anything in the postseason. I think it's almost more of an indictment on the Magic actually and what they might do in the Eastern Conference.
True, because they were off since Saturday, and
their offense stinks. Their offense isn't any good. It's really not. Their defense is fantastic. I think it's like third in the NBA.
I haven't watched a lot of Magic games, but for them to only score 10 points in the first quarter, like Jesus.
Yeah. Paolo Banchero is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but and Franz Wagner, he's pretty damn good too. But they don't have that many scoring threats, so I don't really see them doing too much in the postseason, and I don't really see the Warriors doing too much in the postseason either. But you know what? Regardless, whatever. Gave an exciting game. It's fun to watch. If I'm just looking at it from a singular game standpoint, that was a fun one to watch, and seeing Steph do the night, that was pretty cool.
And by the way, the Rockets have won 10 straight. So good thing the Warriors did win these games, because it is going to be a dogfight towards the end of the stretch here to actually make the play-in. So baseball. We will get to our picks tonight. We are on the eve of the 2024 MLB season starting, and Steven cannot contain himself.
I can't.
The way that he is excited for this is the way I get for NFL free agency. Isn't it sad for you, Steven?
What, to look forward to actual games of a sport being played?
I mean, you can look forward to that tomorrow when actually games are being played. I'm just waiting on Justin Simmons to sign. Anyway, so Alon was here last time, and the Ohtani news really became a thing after our last podcast that you and I were on together. So I give you the floor, sir. What have you made of this whole Ohtani gambling scandal?
Just confusion, man. Just confusion. I had to read that article from ESPN like 7 different times because I just didn't understand the timeline of everything. It just got more and more confused, especially like when ESPN said they spoke to an Ohtani spokesperson and his interpreter. The interpreter that gave a 90-minute interview, gave this whole spiel, laid it all out about how Ohtani was covering the gambling debt. Then the next day, the lawyer said, actually, no. ESPN, before you publish that story, he actually stole all that money, okay? Ohtani did not agree to cover that debt. And I was as skeptic as all hell about that actually happening. But then Ohtani's statement kind of changed my mind. Because this stemmed from a federal investigation. And I don't think that Ohtani is like Rafael Palmeiro, who will stick his finger in the face of Congress and tell them that he's not taking steroids when he really is. Shout out to the Mitchell Report. Just an all-time sports moment when Rafael Palmeiro did that.
Oh, dude, all of them.
It's so crazy.
Sammy Sosa forgetting to speak English, and Mark McGuire. No, not Mark McGuire, but Roger Clemens. I misremember.
Yeah. But with his willingness to completely separate himself from the interpreter, the federal investigation would reveal something if Ohtani had anything to do with it. Like, I don't know if they'd like interview someone who is involved with his illegal illegal gambling operation. They'd probably interview someone, and someone would spill the tea, on whether Ohtani was actually the one doing betting. But with just how adamant he seemed to be in that statement, I am inclined to believe him. And I truly think he actually lived up to that kind of golden boy image that he's always had, even in Japan. I forgot what the saying is in Japan, but it's pretty much Japanese for perfect person is what they call him, like just a perfect person. And I'm just inclined to believe him, but I'm also not going to say he 100% didn't lie and say that nothing can come out of this, because the investigation is going to last a long time. If there's anything I've learned since doing KCBS and kind of keeping up with all these things, whether it's lawsuits, investigations, whatever it is, with the NCAA, with the NFL, with the NBA, these things take a long time. So, this could surface again in 3 months, but I just think that Ohtani, I personally believe him with everything that he said, just the way that he completely is just throwing his former personal friend under the bus. Like I could totally see him telling the truth because he was adamant about that. There wasn't no comment. There wasn't any of that. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm hearing John Lynch from the owners meetings talk about Brandon Ayuk and just kind of say words without actually saying that they're going to get this finalized. Like, you know what I mean? It's just with how much conviction he had. I'm inclined to believe it. I am. It's just insane. It's insane that this is happening.
It's an insane story, and listening to that press conference, I really feel bad for that new interpreter because it seems like that guy is learning Japanese on the fly. Because there's a couple times where he kept messing up and not saying directly what Otani was saying and kind of figuring things out. So that was an awkward position for him. Nevertheless,
I don't think it's the fact that he doesn't understand Japanese. He's an interpreter.
I know. I'm kidding.
Eric.
I'm kidding.
Are you?
Well, last podcast I said they should get Jason Bateman because he's a huge Dodger fan, and I think he would, jump at the opportunity. But he'd have to learn Japanese one step of just one class a day just to be up to speed.
Out of all the Dodger fans, you choose Jason Bateman?
Yeah, I listen to Smartless. It's a good podcast.
Why not Larry David?
He's not a Dodger fan. He's a Yankee fan.
Oh, that's right. He hates the Dodgers, doesn't he? He just goes to the games.
Yeah.
That's
Jeff, what's his real name?
Garland?
Not Jeff Garland. I know it's Jeff Green on the show. Jeff Garland is a Dodger fan. No, actually, he's a Cub fan.
Huh.
By the way, Rich Eisen did 2 sit-down interviews with Larry David and Jeff Garland. My God, fantastic interviews. Better than the shows. Better than the Curb Your Enthusiasm shows lately.
Yeah, that last one made me sad looking at Larry David, though. He just somehow looked like 10 years older in a span of a month.
Dude, how about the ones with Richard Lewis in them? We're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
You could tell he's hurting while filming the episodes. Anyway, Otani. Listening to that press conference, I'm kind of with you, Steven. I think maybe people think you and I are the only ones that believe this and we're crazy. I kind of believe him. Is it crazy to think that some guy who's very young and plays baseball and doesn't have time to think of, the things that you and I think about in our daily routines, that yes, maybe 4.5 million could just be gone from your account and you don't even notice because you're just a multimillionaire. And yes, when you have so many people helping you and you're focused on baseball, could it be possible that yes, you give access to so many of your accounts? I don't doubt that. Now I can also see him, being so deep in this, and then, his lawyers telling him, you just got to push through. You just got to push through and keep this up. Now, no one else is claiming that this guy's had massive theft from Otani. It's only his lawyers. So there is some shadiness to it. But until I hear otherwise, I'm going to be very intrigued to what happens with this investigation. At this point, I'll be completely honest, I'm looking forward to watching Shohei Otani with the Dodgers. I think it's going to be very entertaining. And at this point, I don't really care about the investigation. When it comes out, yes, we will all, it's very interesting. So I think at that point, we'll all want to know what they find. But at this point, I'm just going to go with the facts. And right now, I'm just going to go with, well, there's no facts to be true on anything, but I'm just going to go with what I've been told. And at this point, yeah, I'll go with Otani and what he's saying. But I wouldn't be surprised if he paid the bookie. And if that's the case too, I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. Now, is he a shitty friend and this guy lost his job because Otani had a save face? Yeah, but you can also say that Ipe kind of put him in a bad situation. So maybe it's an equal, I cover the debt and you lose your job. So it could make Otani look bad in that way. But as far as he's a gambling, he's a gambling addict, or, people comparing to Michael Jordan, I don't think he bet on baseball. I don't think he gambled. I think, if anything, he helped out a friend and he got fucked over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the extent of it. But that's also just me being an Otani fan, and maybe I'm blinded by my fandom. Because, and this is going to be like with anyone. By the time he's hitting 440-foot bombs, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. They're going to hear the sound of the crack of the bat, then they're going to be like, ooh. But regardless, Major League Baseball is not going to let anything happen to him.
That's what I think too.
Whatever it is, these sports, they have a way of covering for their athletes. We have seen that in the NFL. We've seen it in the NBA,
Michael
and
Jordan.
we could see it in Major League Baseball, and especially with the star of Ohtani, with the power that he has with the Dodgers, which is currently one of, if not the most popular team in Major League Baseball right now. So Major League Baseball is not going to let anything happen. Commissioner Rob Manfred's not going to let anything happen, and the Dodgers are sure as hell not going to let anything happen. It's just it's as much as you want something to happen because everyone's obsessed with drama and we want to see the mighty fall. It's not going to happen with Ohtani. It's
See,
not.
thank you, Stephen. You are the most real Giants fan that I've heard talk about this topic. Most people are like, throw him in jail. I'm like, okay, then what would your reaction be if the Giants signed Ohtani? Well, I don't know. Well, you'd be defending him. You'd be defending him, and you'd be shitting on Farhan.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
And I said this last podcast. You can't point the finger at Ohtani and then defend Barry Bonds. That he legitimately had the biggest scapegoat of all time. His buddy
No.
Greg.
It's true.
That poor bastard went to jail for him.
It's true. It's true. And look, man, I don't disagree with any of that. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm just not gonna. I'm trying not to let my bias in there. Here from Ernie too. I'm all for a Dodgers downfall. I'm all for that too, if it's natural. You know what I mean? I don't need their best player going to jail over a gambling scandal just so they can be on the decline. I want to see it happen naturally. I need it to be organic.
Thank you.
Can't have it just by sending one of their players to jail.
See? All right. I'm glad we agree on that one. By the way, you planning on doing a show Sunday or you got brunch, Steven?
I mean, I got brunch, but I think I could do a show after Sunday.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll do a show Sunday. You guys enjoy and join us. And I wanted to get someone on because his opinions on this have really angered me. So next podcast, we're going to be joined by Adam Copeland because he'll always just talk shit about the Dodgers when he's being ridiculous. So I'm going to challenge him on this.
Okay. So I get to watch just a producer and his host duke it out on the podcast, and I just get to sit back?
Yes, and you could challenge him on who had better ratings for the 5 a.m. time slots.
Yeah, what were you running at 5:45 on Fridays to combat Langford's long balls?
So yeah, Cope's going to join us on Sunday. We'll give you more details when we figure out what time we're doing the show. All right, Steven. So we got that out of the way. Real quick, this guy, we were waiting for Blake Snell to sign. We were waiting for this other big name pitcher to sign, Jordan Montgomery. The whole story, the whole offseason was he wants to go to the East Coast. That didn't happen. He signs with the Arizona Diamondbacks. What do you think about the whole NL West right now?
It's freaking strong, man.
Best division in baseball?
No, because they still got the Rockies in there. Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Giants, Padres.
And I
don't want to say, and that is 4 teams. I do think that's a tough one. I actually haven't even thought about this. I mean, every division has their kind of ugly duckling of the family. I mean, you're right.
Yeah, but think about it like there was movement in Major League Baseball this offseason, but not to the extent that the NL West did. So I think like teams made moves, but like they were making rapid moves.
For sure. I think it'd be I think the NL West probably is the strongest. If I had to give a close second, God, I think the American League East is just going to be stacked this year. And I know we'll have our division predictions here, but that was the hardest for me to kind of try to pinpoint because, I think one team like the Blue Jays is going to make a surge. Yeah, they kind of underperformed last year, but then you look at the Rays, they're just consistent winners. The Yankees, I know they got their issues with Garrett Cole, but ultimately they got better and they got one of the best players in baseball in Juan Soto. And then, you got the Orioles doing Orioles things. And then, I think that's a damn strong division, but I don't think any team wants to face the NL West right now, especially with the starting pitching, like the Giants, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers. Those all are made up in the top 10 starting rotations in baseball. So I'd probably have to give it the NL West. Yeah.
I agree, but the AL East is pretty stacked too, and they're
Yeah,
always going to be because those teams are all very competitive. So let's
for
get
sure.
to it then. Let's pick our
Ooh.
2024 MLB season predictions. So we'll go through division by division and give you our winners. We'll give you the wild card teams too, and then we'll give you our World Series matchup and who's going to win the whole thing. Steven, you want to start with the NL or AL?
I mean, we can go with the American League.
All right, let's do it then. All right, let's
All
start
right.
with the AL West. Who you got?
AL West. You want me to just name them 1 through 5?
Yeah, if you have the order too, I was going to give you the winner.
Oh, all right. Well, I got the number 1 team in the West being the Astros. A close second being the Mariners. I got Rangers 3rd, Angels 4th, and A's 5th.
Why Rangers, the defending champs, 3rd?
Because that's really where they were towards the end of the season last year, and they had to go on a remarkable run in order to surpass. What was it? I think weren't they like second in the division or first in the division, passing the Astros? I can't even remember at this
They were
point.
tied, actually. They both had the same
right.
win total. I want to say they both had 99 wins, but
Yep.
the Astros, I guess, had the tiebreaker.
Correct. Yeah. And the Mariners weren't far behind them. And to me, I think the Mariners are just primed right now. I think they got the best rotation in baseball. Although Oakland's own Brian Wu today just landed on the IL, so that's not not great.
Shit,
news.
did he?
Yeah, he landed on
Alameda kid.
elbow inflammation.
Yeah, we had him on a couple months ago. Tom, I guess, family friend knows him.
Okay, gotcha. So I think they are going to be right there, but yeah, I still see the Astros winning the division. I just can't count them out. They just always win games, but God, it was close with those top 3. So yeah, that's my pick. I think Astros, Mariners, Rangers, Angels, A's.
This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with the Rangers getting the AL West this year. They were the wild card team a year ago. I know they lost a few guys. Jordan Montgomery. I can't think of. Did they lose any big free agents this offseason besides that?
The Rangers, not really. I think they're largely the same roster.
They still got the same World Series team for the most part, so I think that's going to count for something, obviously. And I think a big deal. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. The Astros have a big change in manager, and I think they're talented enough where maybe you could put anybody in there, but no more Dusty. I think is a big deal.
Yeah, but the manager Joe Espada has been primed to be a manager for a while. He was in the running for the Giants with when Gabe Kapler was hired. So I think with Espada, they'll be just fine.
Okay, that's fair, but maybe things are a little weird the first year. I'm not saying the Astros are going to be bad by any means. Wait for my wild card teams. So for right now, I'm just saying the Texas Rangers with a division.
All right.
All right. Who you got in the Central?
You go in the Central. You go. We'll go snake order here.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Stephen, because a year ago, I picked the Minnesota Twins, and you laughed at me.
I did.
Well, just proves I know more about baseball than you.
This is true.
But this year, I'm going a little bit more with my heart. I don't see the Twins repeating. I got Stephen Vogt. I believe in Stephen Vogt. In his first year as manager of the Cleveland Guardians, I got them winning the AL Central. Can't give you any reasons. Not going to act like I know that team very well. I'm just doing it for Stephen Vogt.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I disagree. I do have the Twins at number 1, although I do have the Guardians in second, and they are going to be one of my wild card teams. I'll just give a hint there. Twins, Guardians, Tigers, Royals, White Sox. It's pretty easy there. Royals, White Sox is interchangeable almost. I could see the Royals taking a little leap this year. Okay. But yeah, I don't really with the Guardians. I think what's going to change for them the most is the fact that Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie are going to be healthy. Those are the top 2 guys in their rotation. But I'm also kind of looking at it as in, well, the Twins have a more well-rounded roster, and I think one that's more sustainable through a 162 game season, because if Bieber or McKenzie have to miss any time, I don't see them taking that top spot. But I do see the Guardians. I still think they're going to have a rather healthy team. So I have them in second, but I'll take the Twins in first.
Alrighty. And then the AL East, I guess the next best competitive team or division next to the NL West.
That was a tough one. But I don't know. I got the Orioles 1. I got the Orioles 1, and I was predicting the downfall of the Yankees, but maybe I'm blinded by, and I didn't even look at his stats. I was just blinded by Giancarlo Stanton in the way that he looked in spring training. He looked much different, much leaner than he usually is.
Wow,
And
you lost all that muscle mass?
not all of it, but he
Yeah.
definitely looks leaner than he used to. And I think
Okay.
he's going to be focused on his durability. Plus, they added Juan Soto. Like, that's Juan Soto. So I think the Yankees second, and then the Rays third, Blue Jays fourth, then the Red Sox fifth.
What's that batting order going to be? Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and Stanton? Good Lord.
Yeah, and you're probably going to have, I don't know, Anthony Volpe leading off. I don't know, DJ LeMahieu in that second spot. And then maybe those guys make up the third, fourth, and fifth.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a pretty stacked lineup. They're going to be without Garrett Cole, though, for the first couple of months. So we could see the Yankees kind of stink it up in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I got the Baltimore Orioles winning the division this year. I thought that they really were, really good last year. I think they were the number 1 seed in the whole AL playoffs, and they got bounced in the first round, or the second round, I guess, because they got the bye now. But I think the Corbin Burns move is going to be huge, and I'll go with the Baltimore Orioles.
Fun team. I like them.
Yeah. Okay, and then our wild card teams in the AL. Did you give those yet, or
no? I did not.
Well, you alluded to. You said Rangers and Mariners.
Yeah. So I'm going to have obviously the Twins won, but the wild card spots are going into the Guardians, Yankees, and Mariners.
Ooh, okay then.
Mm-hmm.
I got
having 2 teams from each division. Last year,
it.
there was only 1 team from the Central, and that was the Twins. Actually, that division sucked. Every other team was like way under 500 that year.
Yeah, I got 2 teams from the East making it. Or no, sorry, 2 teams from the West, 1 team from the East. I got the Houston Astros, the Yankees, and the Mariners as your wild card teams of the AL.
Okay.
So there you go. All right, National League. Want to start with the East or the West? Save it for last.
Well, we could go with the East since it's the easiest. East is it's Braves. It's Braves number 1. They're just a perennial playoff team. There's no doubt, and I think they're just going to be as stellar as they were last year. And I think last year they have a little added motivation. Spencer Strider, their top pitcher, Quadzilla, he seemed pissed after going into this season. Like I don't think they're going to lose a lot of games. I think they're going to get well over 100 wins. Like I think it's going to be a really good season for them. Then I got the Phillies in second, Mets in third, Marlins fourth, Nats fifth.
Yeah, I got the Braves too. There's just no way around it. They are arguably second best team in all of baseball, maybe better than the Dodgers, considering that they, it's the consistency. They've all been there before. Dodgers are getting a lot of new guys. So yeah, I think hands down it's the Braves.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, NL Central.
Where am I at? This was actually a really hard one to predict. It's weird. The betting odds have the Cardinals as the favorite to win the division. They were last in the division, and I don't see them winning it. They are actually the favorites in some betting in some sports books.
What did they do this offseason? Just add Crawford?
Yeah, but Crawford's not the type to get you over the hump. You know what I mean?
Well, of course not. But
I just think
that's the one move I think about.
It was bizarre. It's like I am looking at this correctly, right? I'm not reading it wrong here. Yeah. 3 sports books, FanDuel, BetMGM, and BetRivers all have the Cardinals as favorites, and one other has the Cubs. And that's the one I happen to agree with. I think the Cubs are just loaded this year. I think the Cubs have a very complete team. They just added Shota Imanaga, who I actually wanted the Giants to get. I think they're going to be really good. I think they're number 1. I think the Reds can be a sneaky good team this year, especially with Ellie De La Cruz. So I have.
Are they sneaky though? Because they were fun a year ago. They just didn't make the playoffs. Fun.
Exactly. But I think they could be like really good. So give me the Cubs 1, Reds 2, Cardinals 3rd, Pirates 4th, then Brewers 5th. Pirates want to know my 5th. Yeah.
Wow. I think a lot of people have them kind of in the same way as being a favorite with the Cardinals.
No. They're not.
Not at all?
No. They're They're favored 4th to win the division.
Are they really? Okay, I could be wrong there.
Yeah. And O'Neal
yeah,
Cruz, he's there. Oh, look at that, Ernie too. Just got the message. Yeah, O'Neal Cruz is back too. He was injured last year. God, the Cruzes, those two guys.
cruising.
Yeah. Ellie De La and O'Neal.
Yeah. You see Ellie De La Cruz, who I think could play tight end in the NFL. You see him today do a press conference where he spoke entirely in English and wanted to bone up on his English.
Yeah. Yeah. It's badass.
I know. And then, I saw Copes. Was like, Otani, we all know you could speak English too, you fraud.
Well, that's facts.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Good point. None of them surpass our very own AJ. Like, if we're doing like the Cruz rankings here,
that's true. That's true.
AJ number 1, then it's a toss up between Ellie De La and O'Neal.
No, Tom or who's the actress?
It's got to be CRUZ.
Penelope.
Penelope's right there.
Yeah.
Penelope's right there. Then Jose Cruz Jr. is another one.
Okay.
It's a little Giants.
What about Victor?
Ooh, Victor Cruz. That's a good one. Ooh, that's a toss up.
Yeah.
Our top 5 cruises. That's next podcast.
I'm going with the Cubs. I think the big reason for that one is Craig Counsell coming over as manager.
Yeah.
And I like I may forget what the Cubs have done this offseason, but when I saw them make the moves, like I like that move, but I can't remember at the top of my head what they'd done. So I like the Cubs.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally the NL West. This could be easy for some, probably most, but a lot of people are now thinking that the Otani news is going to impact the Dodgers. What do you say, Steven?
I say no. I'm going to stick with what, since I was on 2 podcasts ago with the 210th episode. Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I had before. Dodgers 1, Diamondbacks 2, Giants 3. Then I got Padres 4th, then the Rockies 5th. The Rockies are just going nowhere fast. My God.
Yeah, poor Bud Black. I am going with the same exact thing. I think that despite all this, the Dodgers are just way too loaded. So I got them winning the NL West, followed by the Diamondbacks, followed by the Giants, Padres, and Rockies. And my wild cards consist of NL East is, obviously going to go to the Braves, but I think a very good team that competed in the NLCS the last 2 years, the Phillies, will make the wild card. And I got 2 other wild NL West teams. It was very tough. I tried to think of maybe the Reds getting in because they were on the doorstep a year ago, but I just don't see it. They're very young. I do think the Arizona Diamondbacks get there again. They were National League pennant a year ago. And, I do think Bob Melvin and the Giants do make the playoffs this year.
So who are your wild card teams again then? Say that
I got
again?
the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly what I got. I got Phils number 4. I got the Phils as the 4 seed, and then the Diamondbacks 5th, Giants 6th.
Well, I mean, hey, we both thought the Mets and Yankees were going to the World Series a year ago, so hopefully we're
it's facts
right about this year, I guess.
Yeah.
So what's your World Series matchup?
Well, all right. So, I do want to say that in the wild card, I'll go with the American League. I do have the Guardians getting by the Twins. I think the Twins' playoff woes are just going to continue through that wild card round. I have the Guardians getting by the Twins. Then I got the Yankees getting by the Mariners. Then it's going to be Guardians versus Astros, Yankees versus Orioles. I actually have the Astros beating the Guardians in that series. Then I have the Orioles beating the Yankees in that division series. Fun little American League East matchup. And then I have the Astros versus Orioles in the American League Championship. And going on to the World Series would be the Baltimore Orioles. So there you go. How about that? I'm doing this totally based on accurate predictions and not at all because this is what I want to happen. I promise you that.
Fair enough. Okay, then what do you got going in the National League?
You're gonna tell this is totally unbiased where I'm going here.
Right here? Yeah.
Totally unbiased. So the wild card, I have the Giants versus Cubs and the Phillies versus the Diamondbacks. I have the Giants getting by the Cubs, and I have the Diamondbacks getting by the Phillies. Then in the divisional round, it's going to be Giants versus Dodgers, a rematch of 2021. and then it's going to be Diamondbacks versus Braves. I got the Giants getting by the Dodgers to the National League Championship. And then I got the Braves getting by the Diamondbacks. Then I have the Giants versus the Braves. Ultimately, I have the Braves going on to the World Series. Then it's going to be a Brave versus Orioles World Series. And damn it, Baltimore's winning the World Series this year. That's my outcome.
I like it, Steven. I like it a lot because it's very similar to mine.
damn
In the AL, yes. In the AL, I do see the Astros and the Baltimore Orioles facing each other in the ALCS, and I got the Baltimore Orioles going to the World Series. I know, great minds. And honestly, I'll say this too. I think Baltimore needs it. After what happened the other day, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing, that was awful.
Yeah.
So I think that the Orioles have a good team, and I think that City will be motivated. So I got the Orioles winning the AL pennant this year.
And they got to pick up the slack left by the Ravens.
True, yes. And then in the National League, I have the same matchup as you in the wild card round, but I have a different result. I have the Cubs and Giants playing each other. I got the Cubs beating the Giants.
Yeah.
I have the Phillies getting revenge on the Diamondbacks. I think the Phillies go to LA to play the Dodgers, and the Phillies beat them, and they ultimately fire Dave Roberts, finally.
Wow.
And then what was the other one? Braves play the who do I have win the Central? Oh, the Cubs. Yeah, it'd be the Cubs and the Braves, and I got the Braves winning that series. So then the NLCS would be the Braves and the Phillies. And I got the Phillies winning. And then in the World, that would be fun. And then the World Series, I ultimately have the Phillies beating the Baltimore Orioles.
You have the Phillies winning the entire thing.
I do. Yep.
Wow. Bold prediction.
And then your boy Castellanos gives a fantastic World Series acceptance speech where they just go, like Greg Amsinger, just like, when I think World Series champion, I think Nick Castellanos. Nick, what do you think? I don't fucking know. Love this guy.
This guy screams Philadelphia, doesn't he? No, come on, man. That'd be so good if they were doing the World Series presentation and they won it, and then in the middle of it they could say, Philadelphia, you lasted through 162 regular season games. You've battled through the ebbs and flows of the season, made it to the postseason, and now, once again, you are, and there's a drive deep to left field by Nick Castellanos. And the Reds up 4-0. You're World Series champions.
That would be fantastic. Maybe they bring Thom Brenneman back for that.
Thom Brenneman.
And now giving out the World Series trophy. Outcast and canceled play-by-play announcer Thom Brenneman. Tom? Well, this could be better than the Chevy guy. Hello.
That'd be so random. Bring out Thom Brenneman to hand out the
Tom, where you been these years? Well,
oh, that's so good.
Oh, Tom, you got to know when you're commercial, man. You got to know when you're commercial.
Lesson learned.
Yes. All right, so there you go. There's our baseball predictions. I like it. I think we went a little outside the box than we did a year ago, where we just picked the favorites in the Mets and Yankees.
Yeah. No, we managed to get by that relatively quickly. It used to take us like a half hour to do our entire season prediction.
We know how to. Yeah, we know how to move things along. All right, Steven. Now it's time to get to the part of the podcast that everybody's been waiting for.
Oh God.
The NFL league meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came out of it.
Mm-hmm. I don't doubt that.
All right. First and foremost, I should have had this ready. Do you have a picture by chance of all the coaches together?
Oh no, I don't. Hang on, let me get it up.
I could search for one too. A little different this year, obviously, with no Belichick around. But I still think that it's always fun to analyze the photos with all the coaches getting together in their weird floral, nice Hawaiian shirts in Orlando. Some coaches didn't make it out though, or some just weren't in the photo, I guess.
I'm trying to find a clear one because I'm getting one with like a bunch of low resolution, but
a lot of fuzzies.
Yeah, whatever. We'll just go for it.
All right then.
I've been looking up a photo of Jaden.
What's up?
I've been looking up a photo of Jaden Daniels' elbow. I don't know if you've seen that one that's making.
Dude, I have seen that one. He looks like an action figure. Like it looks like the elbow has been like snatched, like it's been broken.
Yeah, the hell is that, man? I mean, that rivals Stone Cold Steve Austin's elbow. If no one's
That's
ever
true.
seen that, he has a ping pong ball basically in his elbow. It's gross.
Do you think anybody has the balls the next press conference for Gina Daniels? Like, show us your elbow. Let's see
They
how
better.
freaky this thing is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a funny elbow. It's a hilarious elbow.
Ah. All right. So here's the photo of all the coaches getting together. Everybody analyzes this. Kyle Brandt. Everybody loves looking at this stuff. I love all the Shanahan guys all together. And Jim Harbaugh in the middle is just like a kid in a candy store. Just like, look at me. I got my best buddy, Andy Reid. I got my brother next to me, and
Yeah.
don't have to deal with NILs anymore. I'm loving life.
Yeah.
And then Antonio Pierce and Kyle Shanahan looking hard in the corner here. Notice that Robert Saleh, his placement of his hand is kind of weird in this photo.
In what way? What do you think? His hands on his junk or something?
Yeah, like people have shown like a different angle.
Got his
of this
hands on his
photo.
New York Jet.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's got his eyes closed and he's just got his hand in his front and he's just like, let me just get through this season.
Tell you what, that's a prominent beard that's coming in for him though.
Dude, he always should go with that beard. He's a good looking man and I want to fuck with him, but he just looks like, way more, I guess masculine with the full beard, the fuzzy wuzzy beard.
Yeah. I do love that just all that group on the left there. Let me ask you, does my mouse show up on the screen as it's sharing? Can you see it?
Yes.
So yeah, with all these playmakers, whatever, the Wonder Kids, whatever, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, exactly, the Piss Boys. Sean McVay. I don't know, I guess I'll throw you in there, O'Connell. Then Kyle Shanahan. I just love how, well, the one guy they can't beat is this dude in the Hawaiian shirt. This guy. That is their kryptonite. Look at that. Andy Reid. Cheeseburger Reid. Huh? That's my favorite part about it. It's just like if you had to guess who's the Super Bowl champion head coach that's at the top of the totem pole in the NFL. I don't know if you'd guess it's that one guy with the Hawaiian shirt. If you'd never watched football, it's probably you'd probably think it's one of these guys with bulging biceps. Nope. It is this man, Andy Reid.
Dude, look, by the way, speaking of the bulging biceps, look at Jonathan Gannon on the far right here.
Right?
Yeah, I just imagine him in the gym just like doing like, curls with dumbbells, explosives. Woo, woo, woo. Pew, 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 pew. By the way, next to Andy Reid are the new guys. You got Dave Canales and Brian Callahan, just trying to bump elbows with the cream of the crop in the NFL, coaching wise.
Yeah, they all just. I love the look of it because it's like as if it was a small private school where the senior class was only made up of 50 people and they're getting back together for a reunion. You know what I mean? It was like an all boys private school and they're back for a reunion in Hawaii or wherever they're at.
By the way, it looks like look at Dan Quinn behind Dave Canales and Brian Callahan. It looks like he's like Flash Thompson, ready to like steal the lunch money of Peter Parker and Harry.
I like Gerard Mayo's getup, just a T-shirt.
Look at him.
Yeah, huh? Look at that.
Kind of threw Belichick under the bus this week.
Did he?
He was just like, yeah, it was unfortunate with Mac, and I don't blame him. I mean, if you were put in that situation, with the offensive coordinators, I completely understand his frustration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A documentary and everybody just coming after Bill.
Also, Gannon with the no socks. I'll never understand. Or actually, McVay's going with the no socks too. I'll never understand that fashion trend. I'll never get that. I don't like the no socks look. Like you have to be ultra confident to do that. And maybe that's just me speaking from my insecurity. But the no socks look, it's very bold.
It is bold. I wouldn't do that myself.
I couldn't do that.
Nah.
Gotta
have socks.
Yeah.
All right. So photo aside, meetings, new rules, kickoff rule has changed quite drastically. It is the XFL kickoff now where nobody is running. The best way I can explain this, I guess, is everyone is close by. It's not like spread out like it used to be. and no one can run until the kick returner has the ball in their hands. I know I'm doing a bad job of this, Steven. It's okay. Basically, no one can go until the kick returner has the ball in his hands, and the touchback's different. I wrote this down. So, ball lands in the end zone, touchback is at the 30. I don't know if I love that. The ball lands at the 20, but rolls into the end zone. The touchback goes to the 20. There is more improvement as far as kick returners actually getting the ball, because last year I think we had like a NFL all-time low of 4 touchdowns returned on kickoff returns. So it will give more room. It was funny, the day that this new rule was passed, Cordero Patterson signed with the Steelers, so he needs to get his career back in order and figure out how to manipulate this new rule. But it's going to be a drastic change. I think that a lot of concussions happen on kickoffs, and they want to change things. But I do think this keeps kickoffs alive. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. But I'm going to wait to see what this looks like when games are actually played.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Didn't see a single return in the Super Bowl. Kickoffs
true.
were fun. They used to be fun, but now it's just all touchbacks. A majority of them are. I don't look forward to kickoffs anymore. It does signal that it's the start of the game, and there's something special about it. It's like, all right, the referee blows a whistle, and as soon as the kicker runs up, kicks the ball, then his whole team is going down like a tidal wave, and that's where the violence can start. But really, it's just about as anticlimactic as any play in football. I'm all for it. I just wish like every team would set aside their own in this circumstance when they're lining up 5 yards apart from each other. I wish every team would get a separate special teams unit and just make it all up of sumo wrestlers. And we see sumo wrestlers lining up 10 on 10, 5 yards apart, and run the kickoff that way. How entertaining would that be?
And it'd be entertaining. You just get like a bunch of guys from the replacements.
Yeah, Dundeshka.
I knew you would know the name.
I'm serious, dude. How fun would that be?
Well, it would take the jobs away of the guys that actually play football, but sure.
Whatever. The Matthew Slaters are those guys are in the past now. He retired. There's no such thing as a special team specialist anymore.
Matthew Slater. What a fraud that guy was. Having
what
an
a
18-year career.
Dude, that's crazy. He's like, God, I hope he gets to the Hall of Fame. But 5 yards apart, sumo wrestlers. What do you think?
I'd be down for it.
Yeah. You would be down for it. You know why? Because it's a sick idea.
It'd be a great idea. And sorry, I'm just visualizing that. They're not in pads. They're just in diapers.
Yep. All of them. Forget the pads, forget the helmet, forget the jersey. Yeah. Then fat bastard walks out in the middle of it.
I don't remember having any corn.
I don't know. I hope my water team is ready.
But I don't have a strong opinion about it. I think that it actually will help kickoffs, but it may take away the fun of, just like you said, Steven, the spectacle of starting a game with a kickoff.
For sure. But I think by the time we get into the season, and I do think the result will be more kickoffs because the way they used it in the XFL, the numbers spoke for it. So I'm looking forward to it because I think what AJ Cruz is saying here is just get rid of the kickoff already. He doesn't seem completely sold in on this new idea, but I think the reason that AJ wants to get rid of the kickoff is because it's just been so damn boring over these past few years. And I think a drastic change is needed. So I'm looking forward to that one.
No, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing that I don't love about it is you can't do surprise onside kicks anymore, which were a huge deal when it came to the Super Bowl with the Saints and Colts. That's what got them back into the game.
Totally.
Can't squib anymore either. So there's just like, there is some,
there's some sacrifices that had to be made, but I'm willing to sacrifice the squib kick and a surprise onside kick if that means we're getting more kick returns in regulation.
That's fair. I just think some of the strategies take it away from the game, some of the gamesmanship, but it is what it is. I'm with AJ Cruz. I barely pay attention to the kickoff returns now because we don't have guys like Devin Hester anymore in this league. But I mean, I will definitely pay attention now with the new rule. and see if it's effective. I honestly don't. I think like a lot of people are like, this is stupid. Like I saw Bart Scott go on Get Up. I was like, this is dumb. I don't think people are gonna really care, to be completely honest. I think they'll just. The most important stuff is when you get to the 1st and 10. Like special teams, everybody says it's a third of the game. It's not, and it'll just be something different. But I don't think it's going to be a drastic enough where we're like, this is not real football.
No, not at all. I think there's, if anything, there's going to be more scoring out of it. I think teams better field position out of this. You're not going to see so many just starting off on the 25 and just going from there. So, look, I'm excited about it. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know how anyone can't be, to be honest.
What do you think about the drop? What's it called?
The hip drop tackle?
Hip drop, yes. Hip drop tackle.
I don't know. It seems kind of ridiculous, but then you hear from guys who have been injured by that sort of play, and then it kind of makes sense. I mean, isn't that how like Bo Jackson ended his career? It was kind of a hip drop tackle?
Not so much a tackle. He got caught from behind on his leg, and
That's right.
he
Yeah.
just happened to fall down. That's just like him just being a freak
Right.
athlete, and basically his hip just running out of its own socket.
Yeah. Ultimately, I do think it's kind of dumb, but I don't know how they're going to call it. Like, I just don't think refs are going to be used to it. I think there's going to be a lot of missed hip drop tackle calls.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how they regulate this. I understand that it led to a lot of injuries. Mark Andrews and Tony Pollard a year ago in that playoff game against the Niners. But it's just part of the game. Like that's a good form tackle to me. I don't think it's dirty. I think in a time where a lot of guys are olaying tackles, I think that guys do need to wrap up. And I don't know how you're gonna get somebody to the ground if you don't swivel your hips at the same time. So yes, it does lead to injuries, but playing football leads to injuries. I understand why they're doing it, but I don't know if they're going to regulate it effectively. Like I think when people were freaking out when they had the new rule, when if running backs lower their head, then that's a 15-yard penalty. We don't see it actually in games. It's fines later on. So I think that we may initially see flags thrown and people will complain, and that's when things will change. I think it will become more of a fine thing after the fact. I think that, when whoever the new rules guy is looks over the tapes and sees that guys are doing these hip drop tackles, then they'll be fine the next day, but it won't become a thing during the game.
Yeah, I hope not, because God, those tackles, like just from a viewing standpoint, they don't look like much, you
Right.
know, and it kind of seems like based on the examples. I know the NFL used a couple of video examples. I actually think they used one of Jimmy Ward when he was with the Niners. And it was playing against the Cowboys, and he made a hip drop tackle. But
Was that the one on Tony Pollard?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Each example that I've seen, it feels like the reason they're making the tackle is because there's no other option. That's what I'm confused at. Like,
yeah,
it's the issue we have with defensive linemen, the whole don't put your whole body weight on said quarterback if you're going to sack him. Like, how are they? Sometimes there's no other option but to put your body weight on him. You need to avoid injury some way, somehow. I just don't know. I don't know what defenders are going to do. What are they just going to hold on to him and just not tackle and just hope that somebody comes along and helps him out? Like, what's the plan there?
Well, I was talking about it with Alon last podcast, and I think that something they have to bring back is within the grasp. Remember when they used to call that all the time?
No.
It's when if a defender had their arms wrapped up on a player for a good amount of time, the whistle was blown, and that counted as a sack. There's a lot of sacks back in the early 90s or 2000s where it's within the grasp, and it's unfair. I hated that rule because you don't know if guys are going to get out of that. Like Lamar Jackson, I'm sure gets out of a ton of sacks, but that, back in the day, like mobile quarterbacks like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson, they would probably be frustrated in the early 90s because, well, Randall Cunningham was a quarterback then too, but I don't really know how they officiated that, but within the grasp was a big deal where they didn't want players to get hurt, so they just stopped the play and they count that as a sack. But I don't think you do that in today's game. I think that too many quarterbacks are mobile, so that's hard to stop that. But I think they got to blow the whistle. Like, let's say like you're in the middle of the field of play, and like a running back or a tight end gets stopped, then eventually they have to blow the whistle to make sure that they're not doing the hip drop tackle. But then again, like that, we would never have any of these Marshawn Lynch plays. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to be navigated next season. Hopefully no one just saw me pick my nose there, by the way. I had something.
I was wondering what you were laughing at.
I had something at the ready, and then I just realized that I took a quick pick of the nose. So don't worry about that, everyone. I'm fine.
Hey, you know what, Steven? You always don't have to announce to the podcast you're doing something gross. Like, when you fart, you have to tell everybody about it. Like, Jesus, just let it be.
Look, man, I want to get it out in the open. I want to Eminem 8 Mile this thing. You know what I mean? I just want to get out in front of it before everyone calls me out for it. I'm just going to get out in front of it. Like, did I fart on that one podcast? I absolutely did.
That one?
Farted on a couple of them. Look, dude, I know I'm supposed to be a professional guy or whatever, but fart's always going to be funny to me. It always is. It always is.
And it is to everybody. Anybody that tells you otherwise, they're liars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One last rule change. I like this one. Not a big deal, but I always thought this too. The Lions proposed this one. If you win a challenge, you get another challenge, a third challenge. It always was, if you win a challenge, then you lose a challenge. But if you lose that next challenge, you're out of challenges. Now you are rewarded if you get a challenge right. You don't lose one. So, yeah, I think that's extremely beneficial to teams.
Yeah, and I think head coaches are going to be more inclined to challenge plays when sometimes they might be too scared to lose all of their challenges based on that one. So, yeah, I'm all for it too. I like that one.
All right. Now let's get to the big debate we'll have here.
Ooh.
Last time, me and Steven were talking about football being played on Christmas.
Oh, God.
Steven was very outraged because it takes away from family time. So we had 3 games this last Christmas that fell on a Monday. Raiders were playing the Chiefs, Eagles were playing the Giants, and the Niners were playing the Ravens. And the ratings were great that day. And you did not want this to become a thing because the NFL is taking away from family time. We already have the NBA slate. We don't need all these NFL games. And I told you, don't worry about it, Steven. The NFL or the Christmas calendar falls on a Wednesday this year. Don't worry about it. They won't be playing games. Ha! I was wrong. You were wrong. They all want to make money, which makes sense to me. They're going to have a doubleheader on Wednesday, Christmas Day, and just completely fuck over the NBA. And God, I could just imagine Adam Silver just being like, "Are you fucking kidding me? God, this league."
Yeah.
What they're going to do though is they're going to have 4 teams that play that previous Saturday are going to play on that Wednesday. So it's kind of similar to a team playing on Wednesday or Sunday and having to play on Thursday for a Thursday night game. That seems fair to me. Wednesday's kind of weird, but I think we all knew when the NFL was going through that COVID season of 2020 and games were being played on Tuesday or Wednesday. This was the inevitable. They were always going to change the days of the week to make it, accessible for football fans. And I understand that players are not going to be happy about this stuff. It changes your whole body clocks and everything, or your time to prepare. And it's extremely unfair. But Roger Goodell and the NFL is just going to tell the players, we don't give a shit. This is going to make money. This is going to make ratings. Deal with it.
And I'm just going to deal with it too. You pretty much said everything that I think is wrong with the NFL on Christmas. It's not like it's just taking away from family, because the NBA plays on Christmas Day. Like, you can have sports take yourself away, but at the same time, I just don't need football on Christmas. I just don't, especially on a Wednesday. Like, I just don't need it. And when it literally is about family, and that's the point of the holiday. And I know that America, we have Thanksgiving, but with English families, Christmas leans a little more because it's like the one holiday where everyone gets together. So it's like the one thing a year. It's just the NFL is totally greedy, just wants to take over Christmas. And like last Christmas, I didn't do a lot, right? But I ended up, because obviously there was football on, but I ended up playing like this little game with my niece and nephew while paying attention, obviously, to what was going on with the 49ers. But at that point, Ravens kind of took over. So it was basically over at that game. But I had no time to pay attention to football. So, like, even though the NFL's played on, I want to watch NFL games. And if it's played on Christmas Day, then I got family to tend to. So I don't want it on Christmas. Stay away from Christmas.
See, Steven, this is where you and I are different. You love your family. I do not. So I am down with watching as much football as possible.
It's fair. It's fair.
No, I'm kidding. But maybe not. Listen, I think that, yeah, I mean, having football being played on a Wednesday is crazy. But this was going to happen. The NFL loves,
To invade
holidays.
things.
Yes, of course. They would take things over. They're like Napoleon here, taking over on Napoleon Conquer. I'm sure he did.
It's like it's like the aliens just deciding to invade America on July 4th and invade the world, really.
That is true. Welcome to Earth. I think that I like it actually. I do.
Of course you do.
And I love my family. Everybody calm down. But it's it's nice having football on during Christmas and holiday events. And do I monopolize the TV until my family get lost? Yes, but I have a good time. So I will enjoy football being played on Christmas. And this is what's going to happen, Steven.
There's a lot of I. There's a lot of I. There's a lot of me in those sentiments.
Well, that's all I think about when it comes to football is my enjoyment.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But
All right.
yeah, I mean, think about this. So they're going to play on the 25th, Christmas Day, and we will have a nonstop schedule. Thanks to Field Yates, he figured this out. From the 25th to the 30th, we are going to have NFL games played every day. Then on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, with the football playoffs changed, we're going to have the quarterfinals those days. Think about that. It's going to be great, Steven. You don't have to see your family, just watch football all, 7 days in a row. It's going to be magical.
Well, I'm good with the college football. I don't care. Like the college football is fine. I'm looking forward to that play-in, or excuse me, the playoff with the expanded format. I just don't need NFL football. Plus the 26th is Boxing Day.
I know.
Like Boxing Day is for the other football. That's for football. The English Premier League, Boxing Day.
So basically, yes, every holiday is taken over by the NFL now. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah.
Yep. The NFL is the NFL. It really is the aliens from Independence Day. The NFL is the mothership, and
Black
all
Friday.
of its little minions, all of its little ships that come out of the mothership. Yeah, that they all just invade everything and just take over your family. When's Randy Quaid gonna? Spoiler alert. When's Randy Quaid gonna come in and say, "I can fly," as he's drinking whiskey, and drive up the middle of that mothership and blow it up? When's that gonna happen?
Still haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Independence Day.
I know, dude, and I know I'm a guy that calls out people for not seeing movies. I've never seen it.
Oh, Derek, I did not know that about you, dude.
It's been on HBO Max a few times. I'm like, I'm adding that to my queue, and never got around to watching it.
You should have added it to your queue in the 90s, to your DVD queue, because it was sick.
I know.
The hell's wrong with you?
There's plenty of time for me to still watch it.
You're not going to appreciate it. You're gonna be like, I don't get what the hype was about. Yeah, because you didn't see it. You weren't there. You weren't there when it was popular. You don't understand, dude.
Okay, I know everybody's calling me out on the chat now. Please, everybody. I've seen most movies. Just I missed Independence Day, but I know Welcome to Earth.
No, it's not just miss. It's not. You didn't just miss Independence Day. It's not like you missed just some regular movie. No, you missed an American institution.
Okay, I understand the great presidency that was Bill Pullman.
Duh. God, don't even get me started on his speech. Oh my God.
God, I'm getting massive hate in here. If only Tacky was still watching this thing.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy Francisco who's watching.
You know him by name.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, NFL's taking over every holiday, and you know what? I'm all for it.
I'm going to be Randy Quaid. I am going to drive up the middle of that mothership and I'm going to say, hello, boys. I'm back. And I'm going to end NFL taking over everything. All right.
So-
I can't do that. I don't have that much power.
So when I eventually do watch Independence Day, if I come back on here and say, it was good, but it's no Mars Attacks, is everybody gonna be mad at me?
Yes.
I do
Yes.
love Mars Attacks. I do love Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks is great, but Independence Day is greater. All right.
All right, fair enough.
Oh my God. It's such a good movie, dude. Should we watch
No,
it
I'll-
together? Can we watch it together? Can we like live stream watching it? Dude, Harvey Firestein, all time in that movie. David.
Harvey Firestein.
Yeah. David. Oh my God. I got to call my mother. I got to call my lawyer. David. David.
All right, yeah, I'm down. We could do that one time.
What's his name? Judd Hirsch? Is that the guy from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
I know Judd Hirsch. Oh wait, yeah, Judd Hirsch. Yeah,
That's his name?
Well, I don't know if he was in The Good, Bad, the Ugly, but I know Judd Hirsch.
Yeah. He plays what's his name? Why am I blanking on this guy's name? Why am I blanking on his name? Popular guy. Thing. What the hell's his name? Why am I blanking on the other actor's name? What's his goddamn name? Oh,
Who's
no,
my
this is
guy?
gonna bother me. Well, he's gonna bother me.
You mean the guy that's on Apartments.com?
Yeah, from Jurassic Park and all that.
I know. Do you want me to say, or is it gonna bother
Please do. Why am I blanking on his name?
you? It's Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Thank you. Good Lord. Nice.
Yeah,
That
you
was a
like
good
that?
impression. Yeah. That was really good. Well done.
Thank you.
David.
All right. I'll get
Telling
around and
you.
watch it.
All time.
And by the way, also, everybody needs to chill out about Peacock and Amazon Prime. If you don't have these things by now, then you're not a true NFL fan. So get your Peacock, get your Amazon, and you'll be golden.
Oh,
There's a lot of great
shut
movies.
up. You don't have your own account.
That's fair. But you find a friend who's willing to give you the login, and then you got Peacock, and you watch Ted.
Ted's on Apple TV.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
How much you want to bet? Ted's on Peacock.
Oh, Ted. Sorry. I'm thinking Ted Lasso. Sorry.
No. Yeah, just yeah. They just for people that don't want to call it the full name, they just call Ted Lasso just Ted.
Yeah. What do you got? You got Ted, you got Cocaine Bear, you got what else is on
Cocaine
there
Bear
right now?
on Peacock.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Good
know
Lord.
Oppenheimer's on there. I
Francisco uses torrents, dude. Did you ever use torrents when you were younger?
I did, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it was
Torrents.
just a virus center for your computer.
Yeah, it was. Felt like I was like a hacker or something. Felt like I was Seth Green in The Italian Job.
And every time I would do that and then go like watch a movie like on a DVD, and they have that opening commercial where it's like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you? You wouldn't steal your whatever. Then why would you steal a movie? And I was like, oh, that's gonna be me.
Yeah, those commercials were all time. Have I ever told you about this stupid story from college when I was living in the dorms?
No.
About a movie, downloading a movie illegally.
Oh,
And-
they'll on the student Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I
I know
downloaded it.
I know a lot of one of my best friends. You met him, Daniel Victory. He got a letter in the mail from Sony
Wow, really?
telling him stop doing this, and his whatever school he was going to at the time told him, we got this. They forwarded him the letter, and they were like, we got this from Sony. If you do this again, we're kicking you out of school.
I'm sure Victory's a charming guy. I'm sure he sweet talked his way out of that one.
I'm sure he did.
No, so I downloaded a film, and yeah, it was on the student Wi-Fi. Hi, Phoebe. It was on the student Wi-Fi, and I got a letter from like I think the counselor's office or something. I forgot what her official title was, but I had to meet with someone higher up to get this resolved. It was I was nervous at the time. I'm one of those guys. I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't like getting in trouble. All right, I don't like it. I get anxiety. A lot of stuff. If I was, especially if I was younger. Nowadays, and not so much. I'm an adult. I could deal with it. But when I was younger, I was like, I used to get a lot of anxiety if I were getting in trouble. You know what I mean? Like Stephen Langford sent to the principal's office, heart pounding. You know, I was
Oh,
one of
well,
those
that
kids.
makes one of us, my friend, because trouble always found me.
Yeah, well, you didn't watch Independence Day, so uh, so I got this letter. I go and I meet this director, and she goes, all right, you're not really in trouble. I just have one question. Why did you choose, of all movies to illegally download, why did you choose Pirates of the Caribbean 3? And I was like, I wanted to watch it. I haven't seen it. I wanted to watch it.
Wow, she was judging you for the movie. That's actually pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean 3. You couldn't have waited to watch Pirates of the Caribbean 3. You had to download it through your student Wi-Fi. And I was like, well, when you put it that way, like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
did the movie just come out on like in theaters?
It might have been 3 or 4. It was one of the crappier ones. Actually, 3 wasn't too bad. It was I think it was the 4th one.
On Stranger Tides or whatever the hell it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the standalone one with Johnny Depp, right?
Correct.
That one's terrible.
Yeah, very embarrassing that I decided to illegally download that movie at that time because I was that desperate to watch it.
Yeah, from her standpoint, it's just like this movie's at theaters right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. She just didn't understand it because she thought it was a crappy movie. So she's
That's
like,
actually that's actually pretty hilarious. That's actually
why
pretty
did you
hilarious.
download this? She's like, you're fine. Just don't download any other movies. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, thanks.
Especially crappy ones.
Yeah, especially ones like that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's my story.
Well, there you go. So yeah, the reason I bring that up, the Peacock thing, is because the Eagles game, week 1 in Brazil, that sounds like it's gonna be played against the Browns, is gonna be on Peacock. So get Peacock, everybody. You got months. We all got NFL Sunday Ticket for YouTube TV, and it's great. So get Peacock, and then you won't complain.
All right.
There you go. Real quick, John Lynch did speak about Brandon Ayuk and the contract situation. Same old stuff they're going to say. I don't think anything really new there. Kyle talked about it too. Said he saw Ayuk a couple times at Cabo, which, God, Kyle goes to Cabo every year. Good for him. But yeah, Sean Lynch said that they want to get the deal done sooner than later, and they can't keep everybody, but Brandon Ayuk is a guy they want to keep. So I believe them. I do think that they want to get a deal done, but I don't think it's going to be done as quickly as everybody wants it to be. I think they're going to wait until the usual time of July, and that's when they'll hammer out a deal. And I do think Brandon Ayuk will be with the Niners this upcoming season.
I think so too. But did you see this from Eric Armstead on his podcast that's coming out tomorrow?
I try not to listen to Eric Armstead's podcast. It's a rough listen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you know, he's not a ton of charisma when talking. That's for sure.
But then again, he could listen to ours and say, "Well, I feel the same way." So,
100%. And he's also a star football player. But I guess this is for tomorrow. He's doing one of those things where like he teased. He did one of those classic podcast things where he'll post the 25-second video that's like totally edited just to get you ready for the episode tomorrow.
Right.
But this is pretty interesting. This is Eric Armstead in the Third and Long podcast, which will be airing tomorrow.
A lot has happened this offseason. I'm no longer with the 49ers. I have a new team. First off, like I want to say, like I don't have any animosity towards the organization, Kyle, John, the York family. I did feel extremely disrespected. They extended an offer to me, $1 million, 9 years of me being there. The fans deserve to know what happened. You know, I had to make some decisions.
So,
he gave the amount.
And he gave the amount. And I say all that to say if they don't get a deal done with Ayuk soon, well, those other wide receivers are going to get that money, and they're going to set the market. And I'm talking about the Justin Jeffersons of the world. I'm talking about
T.
the Jamar
Higgins.
Chases. T. Higgins is another one, and that might be more towards Ayuk's pay. But I think he's really going to go after this like he's a number one wide receiver, and that other teams would be willing to pay him. And I think he has more of a case to make that money as opposed to Armstead. I'm sorry, but like, Niners aren't going to pay you $17.5 million a year for the next 3 years like they're going to do with the Jags. Like, that's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
I'm curious to see, because he bleeps out what the amount was in the promo. Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to release it tomorrow. I'm curious to see what they were going to ask him to take this year. A massive pay cut, probably. And you know what? It probably was warranted because Armstead's been injured. And yeah, Ernie, like, is staying here disrespected. They gave Armstead the money over Buckner. I agree. For a good deal of time, they did value Armstead. And then, yeah, he's getting older and he's getting injury prone. They asked him to take a pay cut. And you can feel disrespected and want to go someplace else. And that's how it ends. I wouldn't reveal this, though, but I guess he feels obligated to.
Yeah, but I just think that in due time, Ayuk's going to have to get paid. And I don't know what the dollar amount's going to have to be. I'm sure they can pay him, but look, the way that John Lynch talked about it, it wasn't the same confidence as he had with, it wasn't the same confidence he had as Nick Bosa. Literally, he was super chill, just kind of said, no, I'm very confident that a deal's going to get finalized. Just waiting a couple of things out and doing some negotiations, but I'm very confident. I think he's confident with Ayuk. I don't want to try to read too much into it, but there was just a lot of, is he okay playing under the franchise tag this next year or whatever, under that option? Well, you'd have to ask him that. And all this sort of stuff. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's as close one-on-one negotiations with them right now. I'm not saying that anything's going to happen, but they're going to have to pay Purdy a lot of money. And with the way that number one wide receivers are valued nowadays, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked that if after this year, Ayuk finds a suitor that's willing to pay him a little bit more, maybe do an overpay, because I think that's where he wants to be right now, is one of the highest paid players in the league.
Well, who would you say is the wide receiver one?
I'd say it's Ayuk.
Then he should get compensated that. And I especially, yes, I agree with you, Steven. They had to pay Bosa. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They definitely had to pay him and make him the highest paid defensive player in football after he's coming off 18 sacks, defensive player of the year. And they wanted to. This one, I don't know how they feel about it. I'm sure they want to pay Ayuk, but I don't think they want to give him the amount he's probably looking for currently. And the way you don't really feel confident about it is because John Lynch speaks, and then a couple minutes later, Brandon Ayuk goes on Instagram and says, basically translates a bunch of emojis to money talks, bullshit walks. And he's in a sauna too. Weird. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, the Dieter Kernebach has been filling in a lot lately, and he's very knowledgeable about contracts and whatnot. He believes that Brandon Ayuk is going to get paid, but ultimately that will mean that they're going to have to make a hard decision about somebody else. So he thinks that they're going to get paid. He's going to get paid in July. Ayuk will probably request a trade at some point, and that will get everybody freaked out. But then they'll pay him, and they'll go into this season where they don't have to worry about that stuff because Purdy's not getting paid yet. They'll go into the season with Ayuk and Debo, and they'll be fine. Then next offseason is when things are really going to hit the fan, because Jed York let it be known to everybody that Purdy's contract is going to reset the market, which I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, probably, but you didn't have to say that. And also, I would not pay Brock Purdy in the same vein as Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. But alas, he probably will, which is crazy to me. Nevertheless, when that happens, Dieter believes this, I believe this. I do think they're going to trade Debo at some point. I think that Ayuk is more valuable to Purdy in his style of play than Debo is. and you can do a lot of the same stuff you do with Debo that you could do with McCaffrey. So I do believe that Ayuk will be paid, but Debo will ultimately be the guy that they trade.
What do you think needs to happen for Purdy in order for them to not pay him that money? Like, because
Find someone that can quarterback the team just as equally good.
like, what do they do? Like, what if next season? I don't know. It's just such a huge what if. I'm not trying to prey on this dude's downfall because we only saw him get better this previous season. But what if this year, this Cinderella story that is kind of evolving. I guess you could say it's turning, turning back into a pumpkin, so to speak, with the Cinderella story. What if he does? Or, I mean, maybe he's just a franchise quarterback and they have to pay him like a franchise quarterback because that's what the market dictates. But I just wonder what it would take for them to maybe have some hesitancy in wanting to pay him. Like, there's probably have to be a lot factored into it. But it's what if the Niners look like a team for whatever reason? I'm not saying it's going to happen because in all likelihood, Purdy's probably just going to be just as good. And next year, the Niners are just going to be one of the top teams in the conference. But I'm just saying, what if it's just a massive hypothetical where they look like a team that was hampered by the quarterback? What if? And where do they go from there? Because you're really just putting all your chips in the Brock Purdy thing. And I think he absolutely deserves that because of what he's just done for the past year and a half. But God, it's just what if? It's crazy. Crazy to think about.
I don't think they can avoid it just because that's just the way things are. Every quarterback that needs a new contract will reset the market. It depends on who you are, though. Like Daniel Jones didn't get the most massive contract of all time. So maybe there is an argument to be made where, I mean, if he's putting up the same stats that he always has, then, or just this past year, I think it's gonna be hard for his agent not to be like, he deserves top dollar. But then, like there's the stuff that you watch with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow where you're like, they're better quarterbacks than Brock. And it's not saying that Brock isn't good, it's just it's different. So I wouldn't pay Brock Purdy the most money out of any quarterback in football, but it sounds like Jed York's ready to do that.
Yeah. So, he made it sound like it's inevitable.
Yeah. It's I think the inevitable is that this is pretty much the last chance for them to win as the team that they are right now this season. And if they don't do that, then there's going to be a lot of changes being made. So,
Nelly.
Yep. All right. Before we get out of here, I want to do a little Jackass of the week. And before I do, Steven, do you have yours? So I'm not putting you on the spot here.
I do. And you are, I mean, do you want me to go now?
No, I get mine ready. So we've been talking about the Dynasty show. And I think you and I are in agreement, and a lot of people are in agreement that it basically was very entertaining, but it was kind of a hit job on Bill Belichick and how he was mean and, not forthcoming to the players, did his own thing. And that's the way it was portrayed, with Robert Kraft leading the way. And, this documentary was produced by Robert Kraft's company. So let's remember that. But a lot of stuff's coming out lately that everybody's not pleased with the way that it was, done. Julian Edelman is pissed off at Wes Welker for making it seem like Belichick let Aaron Hernandez do whatever he wanted and, practice. That's not the case. But then I think there's something with Edelman and Wes Welker where they don't like each other just because the way that Welker never took Edelman under his wing. Mm-hmm. Regardless, at the owners' meetings, Robert Kraft was asked about the documentary, and he feels the same way, that it was not a great portrayal.
Rodney Harrison and Matthew. Although I didn't, I just heard quietly that they've all felt that way. And actually, there were some really prominent people that were interviewed for hours that never were used. So, little disappointed that there wasn't more of a real positive approach, especially for Patriot fans who have lived the experience with us.
Oh, hang on. Oh, is my thing still going?
No, you're good.
Okay, sorry, I just still going through my headphones. Now, whose fault is that, Robert?
Yeah.
Whose fault is that? Look, I firmly agree that it was a negative portrayal of Bill Belichick, but I think Robert Kraft was 100% responsible for that. And maybe the Kraft family, because it looks like Jonathan, his son, did not get along with Bill either. And when you're the producer of the pod or of the documentary, you can speak up and say, "Hey, this is going down a road that I do not like." And he never did that. So I think Robert Kraft is a jackass for suggesting that this is somebody else's fault and not his own. Because as you brought up, Stephen, we all know what happened to Robert Kraft in Jupiter, Florida at a sauna or whatever massage parlor. And that was never brought up. It was all the other stuff. It was, you know, Belichick writing a letter to Trump. Like that was brought up. I was like, this is kind of unnecessary. Everything to kind of like tarnish his character.
Yeah.
And I did not like it. But Robert Kraft is not playing dumb. So I think he's kind of a jackass for suggesting that this is like Brian Grazer's problem or something.
Yep. I could totally agree with that. And they, who was it? I think it was like, did you mention the McCourty twin and Rodney
Yes,
Harrison
Evan?
too?
Yes. Yep.
And yeah, like both of them had 5 or 6 hours of interviews, and all they used was just the negative stuff they had to say about the team. Like there was a total clear direction that they wanted to take that entire documentary, and it was against Bill Belichick. And yeah, so players coming to his defense. It's no surprise there. Actually surprised that it's coming out now, like right after we talked about it. Maybe this conversation, we were the ones that stirred it up. You know, maybe it was just your opinion, man, that got this going. Could be wrong.
I would love to believe that.
All right. My jackass of the week is a UFC fighter name, and he's already gotten the consequences of this. But Igor Severino. There was, I believe, UFC. I forgot what it was in Vegas this weekend, but it's one of those. It's one of those free fights. It's not like a pay-per-view, which they do every Saturday. But this guy Igor Severino, obviously we know Mike Tyson and biting Evander Holyfield's ear. Well, how about this dude biting a fighter's bicep? The fighter, his name is Andre Lima, and just take a look at this. When Lima had his arm in the mouth area of Severino, look what he did. Bite marks. See that? Isn't that crazy?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Looks like he was branded.
Right? Nope, that's a bite mark. That is a bite mark.
Yeah, that's severe.
Yeah. So this is why it's a great story, though. Because, well, for one, Severino was immediately the match. He was disqualified from the match. Lima ended up winning, stays undefeated. Then Severino was subsequently released by the UFC. But then take a look at this. I want to make sure I pull up the right one here. Yeah, I just straight up typed Andre Lima tattoo, but he got a tattoo around the bite mark because Dana White gave him a bonus, a $50K bite bonus, which has never been given. And he got the tattoo around it with the teeth marks saying, "I got fucking bit bonus." Like immediately after the fight.
So who's the jackass here? The guy for getting the tattoo or the guy that bit him?
The guy that bit him.
Okay.
The guy that bit him, Severino, he's the jackass of the week. Yeah. And then the Lima one, the tattoo, and I mean, come on, if you were bitten in a UFC match, wouldn't you want to do something to commemorate that? You know what I mean? You can't really keep that. It's not like it's not like you're Evander Holyfield where you could just keep part of the ear that got bit off,
So Dana White gave him a bonus?
So Dana White gave him a bonus.
Are we sure it was Dana White and not Joe Rogan?
Yeah, you know what? Sage Steele also gets a Jackass of the Week too for mistaking him for.
for a lot of reasons. But like, how are you gonna have an interview and not know who you're talking to?
Yeah, yeah, especially when you're in that relaxed setting. Did you see that with the shoes off and the
Shoes, your socks.
socks? They had the socks on.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it a comfort thing. She
I was
didn't even
surprised.
know.
I was surprised Dana White actually entertained that.
Right. Well, Dana White heard that she's probably one of these people who
Yeah.
hates the media and is anti-establishment and part of this inner circle that's just plaguing everything going on in the world right now. He probably thought it was a good idea to go on that, but nope. She thought he was Joe Rogan the entire time.
Oh, that's incredible. That's
Right?
incredible. Hey, good for her.
Yeah.
She still got that podcast with Jay Cutler?
I don't know. Does
Yeah,
she?
they
Did she have one?
She did, yeah.
I didn't know that.
They would talk a lot about a lot of stuff they didn't like.
Yeah. I'm a much bigger fan of Joe Rogan than I am Dana White. If that's any
I would agree with you on that one. Not that I'm a fan or anything, but I can at least tolerate him more than the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was listening to Rogan before all this stuff came out after the pandemic, and he started turning into this, I don't know, this version of Rush Limbaugh to some people, which is just bizarre to me. I don't know. So I'll be a fan of him before I'm a fan of Dana White, because Dana White does everything in his power to keep media out of the UFC and doesn't want to be held accountable. It's like the point of the media is, in part, it's to tell the 90% of the job is to tell the stories of, the athletes that are making this sport, right?
Mhm.
And the teams and whoever. But it's also to hold the people in power accountable, and some of these athletes accountable. And they're definitely a sector of the media which drives narratives and does all those things.
Yeah.
But there's also ones who try to hold those in power to what they're saying. And yeah, he's basically done anything he can to kick any regular media out of it that challenges him on anything. So I can't respect that. I can't.
So there you go. He's added to the list of jackasses for the week.
I guess. Yeah.
All right. And everybody doesn't have to worry. Rodgers is not RFK's running mate. He got Shanahan to be his running mate. Nicole Shanahan. All right.
Boy.
That's all we got for today. We will do pop culture catch up next time on Sunday, because I want to get to 2 sequels that are being made that I don't know, they need to exist. So we'll get to that next time. On Sunday, probably. Adam Copeland will join us. Steven, well, let's thank everybody too. Everybody in the chat today: Otis Bird, Ernie's, AJ Cruz, your guy Etcher Sketch, whatever the hell his name was here.
Yep. Nice.
And Tacky. That son of a bitch couldn't hang for the full 2 hours. Lame. Anyway, all right, Steven. I'll see you on Sunday. Everybody enjoy the start of baseball tomorrow. Say what you always say, my friend.
Oh, it is just our opinion, man.